Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so we've all been there, right? That feeling. You know a word in another language. You've seen it. You understand it when you read it or hear it.
Oh, absolutely. It's maddening.
But then you go to speak, or maybe you're writing an email, and poof, it's gone. Just vanished. You're totally lost for words.
It really is one of the biggest hurdles, I think, for language learners everywhere. Doesn't matter if you're just starting out or pretty advanced. You have this word, it's in your head somewhere.
Exactly. It feels like it should be right there.
But you just can't grab it when you need it most. It's like your brain just refuses to give it up at that crucial moment.
And I think a lot of us, well, we blame ourselves, don't we? We think, oh, I must not have studied hard enough, or my memory's terrible.
Right, or I didn't really learn it.
Yeah. But the sources we're diving into today suggest it's a bit more complicated than just bad memory. It's not really about learning the word in the first place. It's about accessing it.
That's the key word, access. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack that. Why does this happen? What's the sort of psychological block there?
And more importantly, what can we do about it?
Precisely. We're going to lay out a really concrete four-step process drawn from the materials that's designed to help organize that knowledge, to build essentially shortcuts in your brain so those words aren't hiding anymore. They're ready to go.
So moving away from just collecting words.
Well, yeah, stop just hoarding them.
And actually getting them ready for action, making them active.
Exactly. We need to shift words from what we call passive vocabulary, the words you recognize, into your active vocabulary, the words you can actually use.
Okay, let's get into it. How does the brain even file these words away in the first place?
Right, so let's start with defining the problem more clearly. Like you said, it often feels like a knowledge gap, like you just don't know enough words. Mm-hmm. But very often, especially for intermediate or advanced learners, the issue isn't the number of words stored. It's that you can't retrieve them on demand. They're locked away.
So the brain's done the first part. It's registered the word, maybe the spelling, the sound, the basic meaning.
Yeah, the raw data is there,
okay.
But it's like it forgot to file the instructions, the how to use this word manual. When do I use it? What words go with it?
Okay, I like that. It's like having a tool but no idea how it works or what job it's for.
Exactly. Or think of it like a huge warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
The words are all on shelves somewhere, but there's no inventory system, no location codes. When you need something quickly, you're just wandering the aisles, hoping to stumble upon it.
The sources use a great analogy, comparing the brain's vocabulary storage to a kitchen, or maybe even better, a really messy refrigerator.
Oh, the fridge analogy is perfect. Let's run with that. Imagine, you bought all these amazing ingredients. You've got spices, fresh vegetables, everything you need for a gourmet meal. So you have many, many words, technically speaking.
You went shopping, you filled the fridge.
Right, but then you open the door, and it's just chaos. Things are shoved in randomly. There's no order. Labels are hidden. Stuff's leaking.
The basil is next to the old yogurt.
Exactly. You can't see what you actually have, let alone grab what you need quickly to cook something complex, especially if you're, under pressure, like in a conversation.
So you have the ingredients, the words, but they're unusable because they're disorganized. It feels like you don't have them, but really it's an organization problem.
That's the heart of it. It's the difference between recognizing a word and being able to actively use it. And this leads us to how linguists and psychologists categorize vocabulary. There are basically two main types.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's active vocabulary. This is the goal. These are the words you don't just know, but you own. You can pull them out effortlessly when you're speaking or writing.
They're ready to go.
They're ready to go. Your brain has built strong connections, context, grammar, how it sounds, everything. They're like the milk and eggs in the front of the fridge. You grab them without thinking.
Right. Zero effort needed. They're your go-to words.
Exactly. Then the second category, and this is often much, much larger for learners, is passive vocabulary.
Ah, the messy part of the fridge?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
These are all the words you've picked up through exposure, reading, listening, maybe watching movies, or, listening to a deep dive like this one.
Uh-huh.
You see them, you hear them, and you instantly get the meaning. Ah, yes, I know that word. But the moment you try to produce language yourself, you try to say it or write it.
Nothing. It's stuck.
It's stuck. It exists in your memory banks, but you can't use them, as the source material puts it, when you actually want to communicate.
And this is where so many learners get fixated on just numbers, right? How many words does this app teach? How many words are in this book? They measure progress by quantity.
Yes, and that's a potential trap.
Yeah.
The sources really emphasize that focusing only on piling up more and more words, more input, often just leads to a gigantic but largely unusable passive vocabulary.
So you could technically know thousands of words passively.
You can know 10,000 words. But if only, say, 2,000 of them are active, you'll still struggle to express yourself fluently. You'll sound hesitant, maybe repeat the same simple words over and over.
So it's not the total count, but the activation rate that really matters. How many of those stored words can you actually deploy?
Precisely. Those words sitting there passively, the source describes them as being overcast in your head. They're isolated data points. They lack connections, context, and those crucial shortcuts.
Yes, cuts. Okay.
Think about it. For your brain to retrieve a passive word during conversation, it has to run a slow search. What does it mean? Does it fit the grammar here? How do I pronounce it? Is this the right situation? That takes way too long for fluent speech.
Right. Conversation moves too fast for that kind of processing.
Exactly. So the whole point of the method we're about to break down is to deliberately build those neural shortcuts, to pre-wire the connections so the brain doesn't have to search. It just fires off the right word or phrase instantly.
We're basically building a super efficient index system for that mental fridge, making everything findable.
That's a great way to put it. Let's talk about how to actually build those shortcuts.
Okay, so if the main challenge is activating these passive words, turning them from dusty items on a shelf into ready-to-use tools, we need a solid plan. The sources give us a very practical, step-by-step method.
Yes, a 4-step process designed specifically for this conversion. And step 1 immediately challenges a very common habit.
Which is?
Just writing down the word and its definition. Word, meaning, that's it.
The classic vocabulary list. We've all done that.
We all have. But step 1 says, write sentences, because context is king. This is absolutely vital. If you only write the definition, the word stays abstract, disconnected. To activate it, you must immediately use it in several fluent sentences that show how it works in practice.
And this seems especially important for English, doesn't it? Because so many words have multiple meanings or uses depending entirely on the situation.
Oh, massively important. English is full of words like that, polysemy it's called. A single word form can have wildly different meanings. If you only learn one definition in isolation, you're essentially locking yourself out of using the word in all its other contexts when you need to speak.
You need to see it in action.
You need to see it and use it in its natural habitats. Let's take the example the source uses, the word shift. If you just look it up and write shift means to move or change, well, that's true, but it's dangerously incomplete.
Okay, so what are the different contexts for shift?
The source highlights 3 key ones. First, the most basic physical meaning. Shift, meaning to move something. Like, could you help me shift this sofa? Simple displacement.
Got it. Move equals shift.
Second context,
Yeah.
a more specific technical meaning. Shift, meaning to change gears in a car. He forgot to shift gears and installed the engine. It's still a change, but a very specific mechanical action.
Right, different from just moving a table.
Totally different application. If your brain only filed shift under move physically, it might struggle to retrieve it for the changing gears context, or you might misuse it.
Okay, and the third one?
The third one is quite different again. Shift, meaning a scheduled period of work, as in, my sister works the night shift at the hospital. Now, shift isn't about movement at all. It's a noun representing a block of time.
Wow, yeah. Move, change gears, work, period. Completely different concepts tied to the same word form.
Exactly. So the point of step 1 is, don't just learn shift. Write 3 distinct sentences, one for each context. I shifted the blame. She shifted into 4th gear. He's working the late shift tonight. You're forcing your brain to create 3 separate pathways, 3 access points for that one word tagged by context.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You're building a richer understanding, not just a single definition. Because step 1 is about nailing the context. What's step 2?
Step 2 is where we really start building those speed-enhancing shortcuts. It's focus on collocations.
Collocations, we hear that term a lot. What exactly is it again?
Simply put, a collocation is a group of words that often go together naturally in a language. They're like best friends. Certain words just habitually appear side by side. Think heavy rain, not strong rain, or make a decision, not usually do a decision.
They just sound right together.
They sound right because they're used together constantly by native speakers. And the power of focusing on them is huge for fluency.
How so?
Because when you learn words in these prepackaged chunks, your brain doesn't have to build the phrase from scratch every single time you speak. It just retrieves the whole chunk instantly.
So it reduces the mental effort, less processing needed.
Massively reduces the cognitive load. Think about it. Your brain's juggling, meaning grammar, pronunciation. If it also has to stop and think, okay, shift, as in work period. What adjective usually goes with that? Is it hard shift, long shift, difficult shift? Fluency just dies right there.
What if you've learned long shift as a unit?
Your brain just grabs long shift. One retrieval action, not 2 or 3 separate decisions. Boom, instant phrase.
Okay, let's apply this to shift, meaning the work period. What kind of collocations should we look for?
The source gives great examples. You can look for adjectives that commonly describe shift. Night shift, early shift, late shift, maybe weekend shift. Learning these pairs means you can instantly modify the noun correctly.
Okay, adjectives. What else?
Verbs that are typically used with shift, like working shifts, changing shifts, or maybe doing the night shift. Also, other common combinations like long shift or split shift.
Right, so you learn work shifts together, not just work and shifts separately.
Exactly. If you learn the whole phrase, I'm working the night shift, as one unit, it's immediately ready to use in conversation. It's grammatically correct, it sounds natural, it's deployable. If you only learn the individual words, you might fumble, maybe say something slightly awkward like, I make the night work time.
Yeah, that sounds pretty unnatural.
The collocation gives you the smooth, native-like way to say it. So if step 1 gave us the different meanings and context, step 2 gives us the ready-made phrases associated with each meaning.
Back to the fridge analogy. If the words are ingredients, the collocations are like those meal prep kits. Everything you need for one part of the dish is already bundled together.
Perfect analogy. You grab the kit, and you're ready to cook that part of the sentence immediately. Much faster, much more efficient.
Okay, so we've figured out the different contexts for our word, step 1, and we've started collecting these natural word partners, the collocations, step 2. What's next? How do we make sure these pairings are actually, the right ones?
That brings us to step 3, leverage tools, the expert's toolkit. This is about quality control and confirmation, because, let's be honest, just guessing collocations can be tricky.
Yeah, my intuition might tell me strong shift sounds okay for a tough work period, but maybe native speakers just don't say that often.
Precisely. You might end up learning a combination that's grammatically possible, but just sounds odd or isn't common. This is why the source material really pushes using specific tools.
What kind of tools are we talking about?
Primarily, an online collocation dictionary, or maybe a corpus analysis tool. These aren't just regular dictionaries. They're built on huge databases of real language, millions of words from books, articles, websites, spoken transcripts.
Okay, so they analyze how words are actually used in the wild.
Exactly. They show you which words genuinely hang out together frequently. They provide the exact collocations that native speakers use instinctively. They often even give you frequency data, so you can focus on the most common and useful pairings.
So if I look up shift, the work one, in a collocation dictionary,
it will confirm high-frequency pairs like day shift, night shift, work shifts, do shifts, long shift, late shift, split shift. It validates the pairings you might have guessed and probably offers others you didn't think of.
It's like getting expert confirmation that, yes, this is a natural-sounding phrase worth learning.
Right. And the source gives a nice little example sentence that likely came from seeing these collocations confirmed. My husband was changing shifts. Okay, changing shifts is a verified collocation, from day shift to a horrible night shift.
So day shift and night shift are confirmed nouns, changing shifts is the verb phrase, and even horrible night shift, while subjective, uses a standard structure.
Yes, the tool helps confirm the building blocks are solid and natural. It ensures the mental links you're forging are accurate and genuinely useful for communication. It sets you up for the final and arguably most crucial step.
Okay, step 4. You said this is where the real magic happens for creating that permanent shortcut.
Indeed. The source calls step 4 the paragraph test, and it emphasizes this is the most important step to really obtain the shortcut in your head.
A paragraph test. So not just using the word in isolated sentences anymore.
No. This step requires actual production. You need to write a short, simple paragraph. It could be a mini story, a personal memory, even just a description that actively uses the target word multiple times, deliberately weaving in its context and several of its newly learned collocations.
Okay. Writing a whole paragraph? That sounds like it takes significantly more time than just making flashcards or drilling sentences. Why is that specific activity the key? Is it worth the extra effort?
That's a really important question. And the answer seems to lie in how our memory works. Things like flashcards or simple sentence drills mostly tap into what's called semantic memory, your memory for facts, definitions, concepts. Shift means a work period, fact stored.
Okay.
But writing a paragraph, especially a little story or anecdote, forces you to engage episodic memory. That's your memory for events, experiences, sequences, things that happen to you or that you imagine happening. It has context, maybe a bit of emotion.
So you're not just storing the word as a fact, you're embedding it within a memorable little episode or scene in your mind, creating a richer connection.
Exactly that. You're giving the word a story, a place, a sequence. The source acknowledges this process might take longer than just writing the word and meaning, but it argues that this deeper processing, this act of integrating the word and its collocations into a coherent narrative, is precisely why the word becomes so much easier to recall spontaneously later on.
It's not just data anymore, it's part of a remembered experience.
Right. It has multiple anchors in your memory now, not just the definition. Let's look at the paragraph example the source provides for shift. It really shows this integration.
Okay, what's the example?
It's simple, but very effective. There is a clinic near my house. In this clinic, doctors work in shifts. That's a collocation. Yesterday, one doctor was doing the night shift. Collocation. I was doing a late shift. Collocation. We will hate doing the late shift.
Wow, okay. So in just a few sentences, shift is used 4 times, but each time it's naturally embedded in context using those verified collocations. Work in shifts, doing the night shift, doing the late shift.
Yes, and it's not just a list. It's a tiny scene. A clinic, doctors, yesterday, a feeling, hey, doing the late shift. The learner has forced their brain to retrieve and use the word and its partners correctly within a meaningful sequence.
That makes sense. You're practicing the whole package in a realistic way.
It builds a much stronger neural network around that word. So next time you need to talk about work schedules, your brain doesn't just fumble for the isolated word shift. It might actually access the clinic story memory, and the correct phrases just flow out naturally because they're part of that package. The shortcut is built.
Okay, that really sells the paragraph idea. But learning is never really finished, is it? What about keeping these words active?
Good point. The final piece of advice from the source is about maintenance. Activation never ends up. You can't just write the paragraph once and assume the word is active forever.
So what do?
You need to review. Keep these paragraphs maybe in a dedicated notebook or a digital file, and periodically you need to reread them. Re-engage with that little story you created.
Keep refreshing the memory trace.
Exactly. Regularly revisiting the paragraphs reinforces that episodic link, strengthens the shortcut, and prevents the word from slowly slipping back into the passive, disorganized part of your mental fridge. You have to keep using it, even if using it just means rereading your own active example. #tag outro.
Okay, that is a really clear, actionable framework. Let's just quickly summarize the core idea for everyone listening. That feeling of knowing a word but not being able to use it. Stop thinking it's just bad memory or not enough study.
Right. The problem isn't necessarily a lack of knowledge. It's very often a lack of organization and active connection.
Yeah.
Your brain has the data, but it doesn't have the fast retrieval pathways built yet.
And this 4-step process is designed specifically to build those pathways. Step 1, understand the word in all its context by writing unique sentences.
Step 2, find and learn the natural word partners, the collocations that make you sound fluent.
Step 3, verify those collocations using tools like online collocation dictionaries to ensure they're authentic and common.
And step 4, the crucial one, integrates the word and its collocations into a short, memorable paragraph or story to create a strong episodic memory link. And then review.
By doing this, you're transforming that passive knowledge, that word you just recognize, into an active tool you can deploy instantly in conversation.
You move from that slow, painful, mental search, what's the word for work time shift, to just naturally saying, I'm working the late shift. It's about building automaticity.
Yeah, the difference between constructing language brick by brick versus just speaking.
Exactly. Now, it's important to acknowledge this process, especially step 4, takes deliberate time and effort. It's active output, not just passive input like reading or listening.
And the source material really seems to argue that learners need to carve out specific time for this activation work, maybe even shifting some time away from pure input activities.
It suggests that, yes, it's a question of priorities. Is your goal just to recognize more words, or is it to be able to actually use more words fluently? If it's the latter, then dedicating time to this kind of organizational output is likely essential.
So that brings us to our final thought for you to chew on. If real fluency gains come from this focused activation work, organizing the words you already passively know, perhaps even more so than just acquiring new ones.
What might need to change in your current study routine? How much time are you currently spending purely on input versus dedicated activation exercises like writing these context-rich paragraphs?
Are you willing to invest, say, 15 minutes a day, not on learning new words, but on deeply processing and activating one word you already passively understand using this method?
Consider that trade-off. Less breadth, perhaps, but significantly more depth and usability for the vocabulary you target. According to the sources we've looked at today, that focused output is a powerful key to unlocking fluency.
Food for thought, indeed. A deep dive that hopefully gives you a clear strategy to stop being lost for words and start really using the language you know. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.